You're about to enjoy a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the CEO Leading In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of CEO. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the way strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. So today we are turning the tables. So we have Sophia Nuñez, who actually works on the CEO Lead In podcast, and she's one of our producers. So how are you today, Sophia?
Hi, good morning. I'm happy to be here.
So this is exciting, a little bit different kind of episode today.
Definitely outside of my comfort zone.
Oh, no, don't say that. We're just going to have some fun, just kind of turning the tables. So tell us a little bit about where you are today and what you're doing and kind of how you got here.
So I am doing the production for a few shows at Cloudcast, and it's kind of been a learning experience. I had no idea what I was doing when I went in. I'm an English major at State, so I'm not necessarily prepared in the field, but I've just been slowly learning and taking my skills to each new show.
So when you say you're out of your comfort zone, tell me what you mean by that.
I'm definitely not an in front of the mic person. I'm definitely behind the mic. Doing the background stuff is what I like to do.
Well, I'm going to share something with you. And that is that when I first got in elected office, I was terrified of public speaking. So, some of those things you actually can take with you in life, and you can really use that as a strength and growing experience where you have no idea that you can actually grow from that, because it can be terrifying, but you're doing great. And, you still have a smile on your face. You're not a deer in the headlights.
No, not completely.
So tell me, what do you most enjoy about what you're doing today?
I like it because I'm able to be creative in a space that still feels really safe, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So I'm still in the office setting, which is something I wanted to be in, but I'm also able to be as creative as I want to. And being younger is actually seen as a benefit within this field. So it's always nice to be sort of respected based off of just throwing your ideas out there.
Well, and, I was talking about this a little bit earlier, I say it all the time. We older folks, we can actually learn a lot from our younger generation, and that actually helps us grow too, believe it or not.
Definitely.
We have some wisdom, but then you also have some wisdom too, and really collaborating and sharing some of those ideas and thoughts, because, for me, I always want to figure out how I can relate better. I have a daughter that's your age, but how I can relate better with, the younger generations. And, just trying to figure out how I can grow. I don't know if you think this, but I always think this. I'll be learning things until the day I die, until I take my last breath. So seriously, you're an English major. What do you kind of look at and you think, career-wise, this is what I want to do?
I definitely think I want to stick to the media outlet being sort of my main focus. I also work for KPBS and TV production right now. So sort of just anything within the media sphere, doing that. I'm working on growing my ability to do social media as well. And so kind of right now, my main focus is to make myself a complete asset to any company. And so I can go in there with all experiences. So.
Well, and, being that you're younger and you can just try some new things, I always, whenever I'm talking to young people, I say, try things that are outside your comfort zone, like I said. But, try things that maybe you're not even 100% sure you're interested in. because you might find something that you're very passionate about that is kind of off the beaten path. And one of the, the things about this show, CEO Lead In, is to really expose people to different careers that maybe they had no idea they have any interest in. And so just thinking about, media and all that, are there other things that you want to try that maybe you haven't tried yet, different, roles within media?
Yeah, so I actually took on with KPBS working with the ratings and kind of comparing, just looking at different days that perform differently, TV shows. So I definitely am also just interested in the sort of the way that the demographics like fade in and out, and it definitely wasn't something I thought I'd be interested in. So I was really happy my boss just allowed me to go ahead and give it a try.
So did you take like a statistics class that might have helped you with that? Or how does that work?
And it was so funny because I told my friends, I was like, you definitely need to go get an internship because you just have to start doing it.
Yeah,
you just have to throw stuff at the wall and see if it sticks and put yourself out there. And even if it doesn't work, it's an internship. You can get another one. So.
Well, true. And, again, trying things that maybe you're not 100% sure you're interested in. I think there's a lot of value in actually doing a job and starting a career and exposing yourself, again, to different things that you're not maybe thinking you'd be interested in. So for me, I was in real estate, and then I started a business with my ex, and then now I'm in politics. There are so many things that and by the way, never ever thought that I would be interested in politics. And I don't really look at myself as a politician, more of a leader, but, doing a job that I love, serving in a capacity that I love. But tell me this, what have you done as far as, public service and all of that? Like, doing different things, like giving back. What have you done?
Yeah. So I actually am currently doing it. My brother is in a wheelchair. He has spina bifida. And so he plays for a wheelchair basketball league. And they've really been trying to grow it. It's actually just one of the men that also is in a wheelchair who's been trying to get it started up. And he's really capable of making this great foundation because he understands what they need and what they want. And so even just we started doing, the Amazon checkout where it donates to the charity. And now I'm running their social media for them. So, yeah.
Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of organizations like that. I mean, there really is a lot of growth, I think, in nonprofits. And then also, the media that you can create for them, the social media, just to get the word out there so that, a lot of people may not know that there are opportunities for them. And it's a way for them to grow and really find that sense and purpose. One of my friends, this is really interesting. You might appreciate this. His son, his name is Blake Steinicke, and he actually is on the blind hockey team.
Oh, wow.
Blind hockey team. Never heard of it before he became part of it. And he actually has a degenerative eye condition. And he literally is now in the USA blind hockey team. And he's going all over the world. And he's representing the United States. And they're doing all these really cool things. I never knew about it. And there are all these other young men that now have an opportunity to be part of something that maybe they didn't even know. Some of them maybe never even had played hockey before, and they really have talent for it. So again, exposing yourself to things you have no idea about.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to use social media to gain that following for them. And obviously them being great foundation is great, but it also gives kids an opportunity to, maybe get some funding if it's seen as a credible charity. So it definitely is something I'm passionate about.
So is there anything else that you're kind of looking at? You think, gosh, that would be a really cool place to talk to and maybe get involved with or anything like that?
As of right now, my end goal is to be able to maybe do some social media for challenged athletes. That is a program that I think is amazing. They have funded so many of my brother's, activities and wheelchairs and all of that. So I'm definitely hoping at some point I can do that.
I'm sure we can find a connection for you.
Yes.
That's awesome. So now you're finishing up school. How much more time do you have left?
I have one more year.
One more year. And then are you planning on going nonprofit? What do you think your actual career is going to be?
Yeah.
And what's that going to look like?
As of right now, my goal for post-grad is to kind of just throw everything out there and see what I get. I don't think I can be picky yet.
Well, you're still young. You're still in school. Why not start something?
Yeah.
It's not a better time. There's been no better time, I think, as during a pandemic.
Definitely.
That you can start something on your own, maybe see if you like it, maybe see if there's a way to grow that with all the connections that you're making right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the truth is, every single job that you have, you need to make sure that you are trying to figure out how it can help you get to another goal.
Definitely. Yes.
And each job is going to, have a different goal of, moving forward and moving forward. So what's next for you? Like, is there a different sort of path that you might want to pivot to?
I would say what's next for me is definitely continuing with Cloudcast as long as I can. And, hopefully looking into KPBS too. KPBS has been a great workplace for me as well. And just kind of maybe even going back to school, depending on what I find I'm missing as far as education.
So let's go back a little bit further. You are young, but and I don't want to keep saying that, but I want our listeners to know because they can't necessarily tell. So you grew up in San Diego County, is that correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about, in fact, I usually ask this question early on, but I think I want to go back to it. Do you have a childhood memory that's kind of a fun one that you might want to share with our listeners today about you?
I would say working on this show, my favorite, not necessarily childhood memory, but I went to high school at OLP. So it was an all-girls school, and we had wacky Wednesdays where we would play music and dance around, and you had the whole school, all the girls doing that. And it was just, I always tell people about it. And they're like, really? You guys just danced around and did whatever you want? And I was like, it's an amazing thing what happens when women are just together, being completely themselves, and how happy it can be.
Well, and you know what? Don't you think we feed off of one another too?
Definitely.
When there only takes one fun girl, and then everyone else wants to have fun too, and they start breaking out of their shells. And that's one of the things that I think about this show specifically that's so wonderful. It's exposing all of these different young women to, well, and even older women that maybe want to shift in their career, and men too. But really, these women that are kind of breaking out of our stereotypes, doing all these different sorts of jobs and careers, and, just expressing how they got there, and maybe exposing someone to something where they go, hey, maybe I could do that too.
Definitely.
I think there's a lot of strength in women encouraging other women. So, the fun day at school is probably a way to do that too.
Yeah.
So, talk about growing up in San Diego. What do you do? Tell me something that you really like about San Diego.
I loved it. I personally did junior guards growing up, and I just think that's the coolest opportunity us as San Diegans have to just spend, all day in the water, learning about water safety, and kind of just having as much fun being so active, I can't wait to have my kids do it.
Did you have to jump off of a pier?
I did have to
Which
do
one?
that.
Which one?
The OB pier.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was that. Okay. So there are a lot of things that I would do. I'm actually terrified of heights, which is kind of funny because I've done a lot of things where I just go, you know what? I'm just going to force myself to do it. People go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, I don't think I could jump off of a pier into the water.
You would be surprised. Like, once you're there, I'm the same way. I'm very afraid of heights, and after you've ran in the, soft sand and you're exhausted, this is your one way to say, I did it, and I've crossed that finish line this summer. And so you just kind of make yourself do it. Yeah. But it definitely didn't seem like something I'd want to do until I did it.
So let's talk a little bit about fears, getting through fears, because I think, not that it's just women that have fears, because it certainly isn't. Tell me some things that you've kind of overcome that were really tough for you.
I would say my father passed when I was 15. My mom is a single mom, and my brother's in a wheelchair, and there's all three of us. So I guess my fear would just not be where I am today, for it to have affected me on my journey to becoming a successful woman. So I think that's my biggest fear I've overcome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your dad.
Thank you.
So a lot of us, that's actually something I really want to kind of delve into. A lot of people would look at you and seemingly you've got everything going for you. You've had some challenges.
Definitely.
I think that's something that a lot of us forget, that everybody has challenges and they look very different. When I was 11, my parents got divorced. It was very contentious. There were three of us, and my mom was also a single mom. Most of the time, there was this whole thing with the fighting with the parents and everything. But most of the time, she had to really get out and work to support us. And she didn't have any skills. And she had always been a stay-at-home mom. She got married very young. She was 19 when she had my sister, who was older. And then 23 when she had me, 27 when she had my brother. And it was really tough,
Yeah.
And she had to go out and she was cleaning houses. That was her job until she bettered herself, until she would, and I'm not putting down house cleaning, because truly it's nothing to look down on, but she wanted to actually have more of a day job. And so she had to go through a couple of different iterations of different jobs to get there. So then she put herself through hairdressing school at night, worked all day cleaning houses. Then she cut hair all day, went to real estate school at night, and she became a real estate agent, which she still is doing today. I think she started that when I was about 17 or 18. So there were all these different things to get to her end goal of what she really ultimately wanted to do. She wanted to be able to, work, kind of a job that was an office job, but she didn't have to actually be in the office all day long. But a lot of women are paralyzed by fear and things that they have to overcome. I can't do that because of this or whatever. And, there's a lot of resilience, I think, in people, again, going through difficult circumstances. How do you get through that? And I think it kind of boils down to a couple of things. But what is your feeling about victim versus survivor? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say that the biggest, the worst thing you can do for yourself is stay in the victim mentality, definitely. And I think just appreciating that nobody's path is going to be the same, and appreciating whatever outcome comes to you, as long as it was the best outcome you could get, is really important. So I think that's my biggest thing.
That's awesome. Well, and it's good to hear a different perspective too, because for me, I'm older, much older. I'm more than double your age. But just, all the things that we go through, I think they really do help us become stronger. And I am sorry to tell you this, but you're going to have tough times ahead.
I know.
Everyone does. Everyone has to go through these things. But, it's learning from those and, again, turning it from being a victim to a survivor, because there are a lot of things that happen in our lives. I mean, who knew we would actually be in a pandemic?
No, exactly.
I'm 55 and I've literally never thought that I would be living through a pandemic.
I know.
And just all the things that we've learned over the last, I can't believe it's been over 2.5 years. I mean, well, not quite 2.5 years, but, there's a lot of things that we've learned from all of it. And, tough things that a lot of people have gone through. I really want to delve into a little bit about the pandemic and going through college and having a pandemic happening.
Yeah, so I feel like I got pretty lucky. I got to have my freshman year, I got to live in the dorms, and then my sophomore year is when the pandemic happened. And as much as I missed out on, the fun of living life in my 20s in college and doing all of that, I went back home and lived with my family. And I have to say it was so nice and so fun, and just, it kind of felt like Christmas break all day, every day, you know? And maybe there was some times of contention, but for the most part, we also just reflected a lot on how lucky we were to be able to be with each other, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Is your brother older or younger than you?
I'm the oldest, so they're
Okay.
both younger than me. Yeah.
So you were able to get out, take him out, and get exercise and all that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we did a lot of walks around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of walks on the bay if we got the chance to. And maybe some basketball out front, just random things, you know, to keep him occupied. But he was actually the summer before COVID in the hospital for 75 days. So he was like, I just want to be outside. I want to go do stuff. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, we just made sure he got out as much as we could.
What a godsend you were. I bet your mom really appreciated it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good for you and good for him, too, because you could both kind of lean on one another and have that time. You know, and I think a lot of families did that. They actually spent more time together. But, you know, sometimes it wasn't always going well because it was a tough time. And I think, you know, what were your thoughts about how Zoom affected you and learning via Zoom?
I would say that I found the Zoom classes to be less educational than the module-based classes, where you kind of had to teach yourself. Obviously, they're a little bit harder, but I just felt like Zoom classes were, you still really couldn't interact. And so I felt like it was better for me to just go ahead and sit down and read the material. But I definitely was surprised in a good way to go back to class and feel like I'm retaining so much more information this semester. So,
okay, I'm going to throw you off right now, but I really want to know what your perspective is on this. When you think about little kids that are learning to read and they've been on Zoom, what are your thoughts on that? What do you think how that's going to affect them?
I think about the conversation we were having before COVID, which was about, you know, how children who are read to when they're younger, before they start school, or even when they're in school and parents read to them at night, are already at an advantage compared to other kids. And I imagine that we're going to see that times 10 going into the future with those children because, you know, as much as it'd be nice to imagine that parents are working with them outside of the school that's already barely, you know, reaching them via Zoom, I'm sure that a lot of kids are falling short now.
Well, and a lot of parents have had to pivot into new careers.
Yeah.
And a lot have. And, you know, one of the things that I've actually noticed, I don't know if you, any of your friends have done this, but I've noticed a lot of people that I have, you know, in my circle have kind of said, well, you know what, that job isn't serving me right now. I'm actually going to start something new and starting new businesses and going to totally different careers. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing that in your age group too?
I think we're seeing that in my age group as far as what degrees we're doing. You know, a lot of people, I have a lot of friends that were teaching majors, and after seeing, you know, the way that teachers were treated and, you know, the repercussions of being a teacher during a pandemic, not that it might never happen again. I have a lot of friends who decided not to be teachers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel bad for the teachers that were actually teaching during the pandemic and the frustration and trying to figure out a whole new way of trying to keep the kids occupied.
Definitely.
And engaged. That had to be just, my heart just goes out to them. I really, really worry about the long-term effects like you're talking about of are we going to see a shortage? Because there's a lot of, okay, I have a question about this too. What about the people that were out in the workforce already that you know? Mm-hmm. Have they changed their careers significantly, or are they staying in the same careers? Because I know we've had a shortage in many different, occupations. One of them being even law enforcement too.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a friend, I've known him since high school, and he was on track to become a officer. And he was in the program, you know, as, you know, late into it as you can be. And same thing. He was just not prepared to have a lifetime of the repercussions that he was seeing the law enforcement face. So
you're talking about the disrespect and the
just you know, the lack of appreciation. And it was tough for him too, because he also respected the conversation that was happening.
Yeah.
You know, he understood it was right. And so there was just a lot of inner conflict with what to decide in that moment.
Well, and I don't know what your thoughts are. My thoughts are that there are good people in every single career, and there are bad people in every single career.
I agree.
Sadly, the bad apples are the ones who get focused on.
Definitely.
But there are so many. I mean, I know a lot of peace officers, and they really do love their job. They really do love people, and just the tough times that they've had has been really, really tough on them. And then it actually translates to their families too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So everyone's struggling and everyone's, just having a hard time. And it's like, okay, is this worth it? But, many of them I know are not switching careers, which is great, but really I'm concerned about, kind of who we're going to be able to bring up. So to all of you people that are thinking of law enforcement, we really appreciate you.
Yes.
and we definitely want you to continue on that path, because we all want to feel safe. And that's not a partisan issue. I don't believe it's an age issue of whether you appreciate, being safe or not. We definitely do. So, and then, oh my gosh, our medical folks, the tremendous pressure that have been put on them during the pandemic too has been so tough. And gosh, we really appreciate them too. I think that is just exploding. Just the medical field in itself. A lot of people are really kind of, I think, taking another look at that.
Yeah, definitely.
But, also knowing that it's a lot of pressure in that job.
Yeah.
You're going to have to work very, very hard in many cases. So a lot of things have happened during the pandemic that have really, put a spotlight in different careers that are, very pivoting. But again, entertainment and, education and podcasts, I think that's really exploded too. People really wanting to learn more, know about things that they have never been exposed to. I think that's been very popular.
Definitely.
So tell me about kids or young people your age. Shouldn't say kids. But I only say that because my kids are your age. But young people in general, of their knowledge and their thirst for knowledge and podcasts, what is your sense on that?
I feel like we are definitely the first generation that's been told you can do it yourself. You can have your own business. You can kind of, you don't have to work there for the rest of your life. You can do what you want to do. And so I think podcasts are just a great opportunity to be able to say, like, let me learn about this, see if I'm interested, and go from there. And also, I use it when I'm at work. I can't watch anything while I'm working, but I can listen. And, it kind of helps me to stay focused and occupied throughout the day.
Well, I like that. And I also like what you said earlier about, trying different internship opportunities. Because again, exposing you to what it's really like. It's not the same as reading a book. I mean, it's very different. You're out there, you're listening to people that are actually doing the job in a podcast. But then when you're actually doing an internship, you're really experiencing of, can I do this every day?
Yeah.
Is this something that I really have enough interest that I can stay engaged and really grow and be able to, enjoy it? And, one thing that I always say to the younger generation is try things that you are passionate about, because you certainly don't want to be, in a job where you hate going to work every day, because I can tell when people hate their jobs.
Yeah.
Can't you? I mean,
definitely.
I walk in, I'm like, oh, geez, why are you doing this job? You clearly are not
you
loving
should
it.
Switch it up.
Exactly. And I agree with what you said about, now having the thought and the opportunity of being able to switch careers. My dad literally did the same job his whole life. It was with different companies, but it was in the same field, same type of job. I think people are really switching it up more now than ever, and especially young people. And again, I like that, trying something and you go, yeah, my heart's not in this. I'm not loving it, but maybe I'll switch a little bit this way. And, kind of changing your major, maybe having some different thoughts about that. I think it's good to have those moments of self-realization where you go, maybe I'm going to kind of move off this way.
Yeah, or even just being okay with the fact that you love something for the time, and
Yep.
then you can change your mind.
Yeah.
It's totally okay to, give it 5 years and then move on, or at least just being able to push yourself to keep growing, whether that means staying in the same job but maybe a different position. But just keeping that hunger to keep growing and learning, I think, is important for anybody.
Definitely. So you walk into a room of young people and you're wanting to impart some wisdom on them. What is something that you would say so far, and I'm young, but I've learned this, and it would be really a good idea if you think about this one thing. What would that be?
I would say that everybody you meet is an opportunity within themselves. So just constantly be asking people, what do they do? What's their line of work? And kind of trying to think of how you can either help them or how they can help you. Because in the long run, you're going to be able to ask them to help you if you've helped them, or vice versa. And so just remembering that everybody's a great connection, no matter who they are.
In the grocery store and every walk,
Everywhere.
at the cleaners. This is kind of funny, but one of the things that I love most about a campaign, and I don't really like campaigning anymore because it's gotten really kind of weird, but every time someone opens a door, they have something valuable to share with me. And when they, when I'm kind of excited as I go up to a door, I'm thinking, I don't know if they're going to like me, if they're not going to like me, but what are they going to say to me, and what is going to be interesting about them? Because there literally is something interesting in every conversation that you have in life. And I think that's one of the things that the pandemic has really sort of shifted, because I'm not certain, and maybe you can help me out with this, of whether there's still that younger people are seeing that value in conversations and that, that thirst for knowledge in all of the people that you're going to meet. And I know you just kind of mentioned it like that, but are most young people thinking the same thing too, or not so much?
I would say that I find that most people are just especially in where I'm in school, they just want to get school done. And they're not really thinking about the fact that everybody's just getting school done, and that the little layer of even just knowing somebody in the field, even if it doesn't really apply to what you're doing, is valuable. Learning people's names, getting to know them is valuable. So I think sometimes I will run into friends who are thinking that that's all they need to do. And I try to remind them, you should go out there, get a little bit of experience, because that's what's going to stand out on your resume or when you go into an interview. And just things like that, I think.
One last question, and I love to hear I'm really looking forward to your answer on this. So there's a lot of texting that goes on with our younger generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think people my age can engage more of that face-to-face with people that are used to conversing, really having conversations via text? Because that face-to-face, in my opinion, is so important. And I think it really has become something that some people aren't really interested in. In fact, I had someone say to me the other day, I'm noticing with the younger generation, they don't even want to look me in the eye when I'm trying to have a conversation with them. They seem disinterested. So how can we, as an older generation, learn how to engage more with people that don't seem like they want to be engaged?
I think it all boils down to the confidence. So I think with you, for example, I know that if I incorporate some of my ideas, you're going to be able to listen and hear me out and be interested in what I'm saying. And so I think giving that open forum for them to, even misspeak and make a mistake is a great opportunity for them to get, more involved in the conversation.
I love that. You're actually giving me ideas. I love it. Sophia, thank you so much. I really have enjoyed this. I really value your opinions, and I'm really excited that we were able to talk today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learn how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
You have been listening to a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands. Find more stories at cloudcast.us.